So there's been a lot of discussion lately about retirement, the retirement age, the cost of living, whether people are going to have enough money, whether they're going to have to work longer than they planned. Every time I hear one of those conversations, I find myself thinking, business owners are different, not better, just different. Because I honestly don't think I've ever heard a business owner sit across the table from me and say, Dan, I've turned 67, I suppose it's time to sell. It just doesn't happen. In fact, the longer I've been doing this, the more I've realized that age has almost nothing to do with when business owners actually decide to sell. I've met people in their late 40s who are just completely ready. I've met people in their 70s who couldn't imagine doing anything else. So if it isn't age, what is it? I don't think retirement is the issue. I think retirement is often grief disguised as financial planning. Now that might sound like a strange thing for a business broker to say, but hear me out, because once I started looking at business owners through that lens, a lot of things suddenly made sense. See, our industry spends a lot of time talking about the mechanics of selling a business, valuations, tax, due diligence, lawyers, deal structures. Don't get me wrong, all of those things matter. But can I tell you something I've noticed? Very few deals get delayed because someone suddenly forgets how valuations or deals work. What I've seen over and over again is owners who tell me they're ready to sell until we start their pre-sale assessment or until they actually have a buyer sitting in front of them. And then something changes, something really hits home for them. When a sale starts to turn and feel real, all of a sudden they just become distant. And if you've never seen it before, it looks really irrational, but I don't think it is, because I don't think they're struggling with selling the business. I think they're struggling with letting go of the life they've built around it. And when I started thinking about that, I realized there are probably three things owners are really saying goodbye to. The first one is identity. Now, I don't mean that in some deep psychological way. I just mean something really simple. If I asked you, so what do you do? You'd probably answer without thinking. I own, or I run, or I started. You've probably said those words thousands of times before. It's become who you are. People know you because of your business, your staff, your customers, your family, your mates, everybody. Now imagine settlement happens on Friday and the next Monday morning someone asks you, so what do you do now? The next reason I think is routine. We are all creatures of habit, and I think this one gets underestimated. People love talking about retirement. Imagine all the free time. But business owners don't just lose work, they lose rhythm. Imagine that for years you've woken up knowing exactly where you're needed, all the daily decisions. A customer has a problem, a staff member wants advice, the great culture you've built with your team and you've spent decades being useful. Then one day it all stops. That's a much bigger adjustment, I think, than people realize. The owners I've seen make this transition really well, they're usually the ones who already know what comes next. One client I worked with, he couldn't wait to mentor younger business owners. Another one became a consultant in the industry of the business he sold and helped other business owners and joined a couple of boards. And another one, honestly, he lasted about 6 months before he bought another business. He just loved building businesses. The common thread wasn't what they were retiring from, it was that they had something they were excited to move towards. And I think that's the question every business owner should be asking. Not, can I afford to retire? But what am I actually going to do with the next 20 or so years of my life? Because I really don't believe the retirement age decides when business owners sell. I think people sell when they're ready. But in my experience, often their business is past its peak selling window. And the one thing that really validates the years of work they've put into their business is the price. Yes, the hardest part is letting go of something that's been such a big part of your life for decades, but the harder thing is not getting the price you would have got 5 years ago. And I think that's the conversation any business owner over 55 should have more often.